Student of class 9, let's continue our chapter Fundamental Unit of Life. In today's topics, we'll talk about plasma membrane or cell membrane. As already we know that cell membrane or plasma membrane is the outer cover or outer layer of the cell which protect the inside material from the surrounding. This is the outermost covering of the cell, and that separate the contents of the cell from the external environment. Another important function of the plasma membrane which allow or permit the entry and exit of some material in and out of the cell. It also prevents movement of some other material, for example bacteria, carbon dioxide, to enter into the cell. We can say cell membrane is allow which material should go inside the cell and which material should go outside from the cell, and that is why cell membrane is called the selectively permeable membrane. Now question here arises, which material required by the cell and which material should be go outside from the cell. So here water, oxygen, nutrition, all are the important material for the cell. Without this cell cannot survive. And the harmful substance which produce inside the cell like carbon dioxide, which should be sent outside from the cell. And that all permission allow giving by the select permeable membrane, that means plasma membrane, or you can say cell membrane. Carbon dioxide or oxygen can move across the cell membranes by a process called diffusion. So here student, you remember that carbon dioxide or oxygen are the material. Whenever gaseous material goes inside the cell or outside from the cell, that means the movement of the cell, the movement into the cell, we call this is diffusion. But in case of water movement inside the cell, we call say osmosis. We have studied the process of diffusion in earlier chapter only. We saw that there is a spontaneous movement of a substance from the region of high concentration to a region where its concentration is low. Something similar to this happened in the cell. For example, some substance like carbon dioxide, which is the waste material for the cell, should be sent outside from the cell. So these also go outside from the cell by the process of diffusion, because carbon dioxide is a gaseous material. So how this carbon dioxide go from the outside, inside to the outside of the cell, and how water, then the oxygen goes inside the cell. So at first we discuss about the carbon dioxide. As soon as there is a difference of concentration of carbon dioxide inside and outside of the cell, carbon dioxide moves out of the cell from the region of higher concentration to the lower concentration by the process of diffusion. So here remember, whenever carbon dioxide will be accumulated more inside the cell and outside of the cell, if the concentration of carbon dioxide is less, then carbon dioxide will move from the higher concentration to the lower concentration, meaning is that from the inside cell into the outside cell. Similar things happen with the oxygen. So oxygen should go inside the cell. So whenever oxygen concentration is inside the cell is less and oxygen concentration is outside of the cell is more, then oxygen will go from the higher concentration to the lower concentration area, means into the cell. In case of water movement process inside the cell we call osmosis. The movement of water across the plasma membrane is also affected by the amount of substance dissolved in water. Thus, osmosis is the passage of water from a higher concentration to the lower concentration area. Now, three definition I want to give you here: three different type of solution: hypotonic solution, isotonic solution, and hypertonic solution. If the medium surrounding by the cell has a higher water concentration than the cell, meaning that the outside solution is very dilute, the cell will gain water by osmosis. This kind of solution is called hypotonic solution. Again, I am saying, if the water concentration if more outside of the cell, and inside of the cell if water concentration is less, then water will move from the higher concentration to the lower concentration by the process of osmosis. In that case, the cell will gain the water, and this kind of solution is called hypotonic solution. Water molecules are actually free to pass across the cell membrane in both directions, but more water will come into the cell than will leave. Another solution is a isotonic solution. If the water concentration inside the cell and outside of the cell is same, then in that case no movement of water across the cell membrane. Such solution is known as isotonic solution. Another solution is hypertonic solution. If the concentration of water outside of the cell is less and inside of the cell is more, that in that case the cell will release water into the outside, because water always moves from the higher concentration to the lower concentration. So this kind of solution is called hypertonic solution. So remember student, in that case hypertonic solution, since the cell is losing water, in that case the cell will go for shrink. And in case of hypotonic solution, cell is gaining water, that by the process of osmosis, in that case the cell will be swell. And in the second solution, whatever we discuss, isotonic solution, in that condition the cell will neither shrink nor swell.